Hello, welcome for a new video on the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. Today we will see verse 38 about the practice of inner sound, a practice that is found in Tantric Yoga and that will continue to be transmitted in Hatha Yoga tradition, in Hatha Yoga texts. So let's see what is that practice. First, the verse in Sanskrit, 38. Vijnana Bhairava. Om anāhate pātrakarṇe bhagnaśabde sariddrute śabdabrahmaṇi niṣṇātaḥ param brahmādhigacchati. So, niṣṇātaḥ, bathing into or immersing oneself, like in water, like in a shower, immersing oneself, sariddrute, in the speedy river, śabde, of the word or the sound. It can mean both, but here it's rather the word. A bhagna, which is unbroken, uninterrupted, like a river that is flowing uninterruptedly, which is flowing day and night, and which is pātrakarṇe, in the vessel of the ear, and which is anāhate, which does not come from a friction or a friction between two objects, like for instance all musical instruments have sound that comes through the contact between two parts, like the bow and the strings, the finger and the strings, the hands and the drum, the cover of the drum. Here it's a spontaneous sound, and this is śabdabrahmaṇi, the absolute, the ever-expanding one, as sound or as word. Bathing in that speedy river of the inner sound, which is present spontaneously without us having anything to do to bring it about. Bathing in that river of the inner sound, param brahmādhigacchati, one shall go, one shall understand, one shall have insight into the supreme absolute, Here, what is suggested is that the inner sound is the absolute present in the body, so the inferior absolute, or the intimate param, which is not far, which is not far away, which is not remote, the intimate absolute, and through that immanent absolute present inside, which is not far, one shall reach, one shall go to the supreme, to the transcendent absolute, the one that is far, or the one that is believed, that is said to be far. So here the text is alluding to the belief that the absolute, the ever-expanding one, is far away, is remote, he is transcendent, he is param, paramam, parat param, he is beyond the beyond, he is transcendent, and so he is far removed from my experience, from me, from my body, from my here and now. And so here what this verse is pointing at is that in fact that absolute, that ever-expanding one, Brahmati, that Brahman, that absolute, that ever-expanding one, which is believed to be so far away, is in fact very um, intimate, very near. He is aparam. And so he is aparam, how in the shape of śabdabrahmaṇi, which is the sound, the absolute as sound, anāhate pātrakarṇe, and which is the spontaneous inner sound heard inside the ears. And especially when one cover one's ears with one's finger, like, with a shell to hear the so-called sound of the sea. It is that sound. And that sound can be better, in an easier way, be heard first by closing the ears, and then you can hear it all the time, even without the ears being closed or whatever. Some texts, some traditional texts, advise to make small balls to put in the ears, like earplugs, or to block the outer sound, to get a better perception, a clearer perception of that inner sound. So, anāhata dhvani, the spontaneous resonance, vegavahini, like a flow of a river going speedily with strength that cannot be stopped, ongoing. Yadva parishrute. So there is another reading here of that verse. Instead of sariddrute, we can have parishrute, that is heard from all sides. Paritaha samantat sarveshu pradesheshu nirgalite shravanagoccharangate, which is heard everywhere from all sides, in all circumstances, which is always in the field of hearing, which is always in the field of hearing. And it is abhagna, means aharnisham, Vijnana rahite śabdane. It's a sound that is going without interruption day and night. And nada bhaktaraka, it is the sublime resonance. It is the sublime sound, the divine sound, the lordly sound, nada bhaktaraka. So niṣṇātaḥ, bathing in it, means concentrating on it through the stages of fixation of attention, contemplating attention, and perfect attention. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, the three last of the 8 ancillaries of Patanjali's yoga. And then param brahmāpnoti brahmaeva bhavati. One does not just reach or get the absolute, but one becomes the absolute. Brahmavid brahmaeva bhavati. So this verse is quite straightforward. You sit comfortably and you maybe close the eyes and you put all your attention on that spontaneous sound, that inner sound that you can hear first better by closing the ears like that. And then, even without closing the ears, it's always ongoing at the background of every other sound. So this is the sound equivalent of the lights we had last time. And that sound shall guide you to the ultimate sound, the most intimate. The ultimate is the most intimate sound, which is the sound of consciousness, the sound of pure awareness. So this is a very simple, straightforward, easy practice. You do not have to search to look for something far away, but just bathing in that inner sound. So that was the teaching collected in the Vijnana, in the so-called Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, the Shiva Upanishad, as Abhinavagupta calls it, to get to the supreme absolute, the ever-expanding one, the supreme vibration, the vibration of which all other movements are like branches, branching out of that great tree, that great sacred tree of consciousness, that great sacred tree of life. Thank you for listening. That's all for today. See you next time.